Welcome to the fourth round or state semifinal edition of the Prep Football Video Preview. I'm Gazette Sports Editor Gabe Wisnett, joined as always by Richard Walker, Philip Gardner. We're going to break down these semifinal matchups, one more round before the state championship. We'll start off with South Point at West Rowan, a pair of 13-1 teams going head-to-head. Phil, how do you see this matchup swinging?
Well, South Point's been playing really, really well, and the key is always for them is going to be control the line of scrimmage, which is what they've been able to do. This week they're facing a really strong running game. KP Parks for West Rowan, 2,500 yards. So he seems to be a really, really tough runner. They do a lot of play action stuff too, though, so it'll be kind of interesting. They run a little bit out of I formation, is what South Point coach John Devine tells me. He says they're strong and physical, so it's going to be one of those tough, grinded out kind of battles. They play kind of like South Point. You know, they want to play really strong defense and have a ball control offense, which is exactly what South Point does. So it'll be interesting to see how South Point counters that. South Point's just playing really, really well. I see them matching up favorably in this game. I see them moving on to another round.
I would agree. I mean, the shutout of Asheville and the way they've been playing in the play defensively in the playoffs is really remarkable and speaks really well because, again, we've talked about this on our weekly talks about how after that first week loss to Clover, everybody knew Clover was good, but all the South Point people I knew were alarmed at giving up 48 points. They're as far removed from that day as they can possibly be, and the defense is really coming up big here in the playoffs because people have at varying degrees had some success slowing the Red Bone offense, which we know certainly in this conference, in this area, has just dominated people, including Clover. So the defense is really playing championship football at a time that you need to be playing championship football.
Moving on to the 2AA side of things, East Henderson, 13-1, comes to East Lincoln, also 13-1. Richard, what about that matchup?
Which two schools that have historically not been big football powers, but in recent years have done a whole lot better, particularly East Lincoln. What I saw last week them with the Bandy's game, it was let's take care of business and get out of here, path of least resistance, not get anybody injured, and certainly after suffering the starting quarterback getting hurt and getting Josh Wilson back, but he seemed to hit the ground running. It was almost like riding a bike again. And I'm telling you right now, folks, I don't know if there's any better offensive player in our area than Keith Rendelman. I mean, I don't know who can guard him one-on-one. I don't know if it can be done one-on-one. Bandy's tried to the first two plays of the game, and it was 42-yard touchdown drive in 2 plays. And even over the top. I mean, the guy's 6'6". I mean, I think Josh Wilson put it best. He's 6'6". 2 or 3 guys can't guard him. Right. And as we move along in the playoffs, every defensive coordinator is pulling his hair out trying to figure out schemes of try to stop Rendelman because he's so strong on the line. He's so fast and big, and the catch he made for the second touchdown pass that kind of closed out the game against Bandy's one of the best catches I've ever seen a high school kid make. He caught it one-handed in stride on his way to the end zone. So, as long as Austin Culp's doing his thing, I just think East Lincoln's going to move on for the same reasons that I think South Point's moving on. I think they're playing their best football right now. What happened last year at Lincoln, they can draw from that experience and the pain of not winning, because I'm sure to a man East Lincoln would tell you, especially the way we saw Lincoln take care of South Columbus last year, that had East Lincoln beaten Lincoln last year, they would have been winning the state championship a year ago, and I think they feel like this is definitely their time.
Final matchup, 3AA, A.L. Brown, 12-2, goes to Kings Mountain, 11-3. A.L. Brown, of course, coached by former Kings Mountain head coach Ron Massey. Phil, talk about that one a little bit.
I'm just waiting for Kings Mountain to play a little defense because I just wonder if that's ever going to catch up with them. So far, the past 2 weeks, the offense has been superb with Michael Roberts, Joe Chambers, and it's just been amazing how many points they've put up. I think they've got to put on the defensive plan at some point, or it's going to come back and bite them. A.L. Brown, by our reports earlier this week, is very similar to Kings Mountain, and they got a real strong running back, Jamil Lott. The quarterback, Jamil Lott, a two-way threat, can run the ball, can pass the ball. I just think Kings Mountain's got to do something to limit him to keep going in the playoffs.
The thing that I think Kings Mountain's got going for them, Kannapolis has lost 2 games to Mooresville and Anson County. Right, last 2 teams that Kings Mountain beat. Now, certainly, as you alluded to, Phil, it's hard to keep living, that small margin of error to bank on your offense to put up 41 and 56 points. Although the 41-34 is a little bit deceptive for the defense because, again, I think we talked about it last week. I felt like Kings Mountain played pretty good defensively in spite of 34 points, in spite of 200 and however many yards rushing Deshaun Pinkston had. Certainly that was maybe not the case last week against Anson, but, you know, with just a little bit more defensive improvement, I feel good about Kings Mountain's chances. And, again, they're at home.
Quick rundown of who our local teams would be playing and where if they were to move on to the state championship. The 2 AA championship, which would be East Lincoln if they won, they would play either Forest Hills or Reedsville at 11 a.m. in Raleigh at Carter Finley Stadium. South Point, if they were to win, they would play in the 3 single A championship noon on Saturday against either West Craven or Rocky Mount. Kings Mountain, if they were to win, would play either Northeast Guilford or Dudley at 4:30 p.m. at BB&T Field in Winston-Salem. I think I got those right. That's it for this week, and we'll see y'all hopefully in the state championship.